The Arizona Wildcats are a virtual lock for the 1 seed in the West region. But what are some of the teams that they could play in that region, and who are some teams that the Cats should look to avoid? Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. I am, of course, your host of the podcast, Damon Fairall. I am not with my benevolent co-host, one Kevin Thomas, as he is in Tucson. He was going to be off anyways, which is a little kind of funny. He was taking some birthday time off. I was, being the gracious friend that I am, I was allowing him to have that time, that opportunity to spend with his girlfriend, and then come to find out, we're doing a Jaden Bradley interview on that Thursday that he already requested off. And Kevin, being the absolute grinder that he is, said, what do I want to do with my time off that I took for my birthday? I want to go down to Tucson. I want to talk to Jaden Bradley. I want to talk to Smooth, meet him in the flesh, shake his hand. And of course, that's going to be debuting, I believe, on McHale Madness later tonight, 7 p.m. Saul Bookman, Corey Williams, Kevin Thomas, and, of course, JB Smoove, Jaden Bradley, the senior, the captain of this team, on this very same channel. Cannot wait for that one. But I had to call in the big guns for the substitution here, Erika Day. And who better to talk to after, and I say this a little bit begrudgingly, but the way that, the women's basketball season ended last night, it's perfect timing, Erika. We're glad to have you on the podcast under these circumstances. Maybe not as much so, but it's always a joyous occasion when you arrive on the show.
I'm really stoked to be here, but I do have to just say really quick that Kevin and his lovely girlfriend promised me some cookies the next time they're in Tucson. Clock says they're in Tucson, and narrator is checking the clock, and there's no cookies in my lap. So, Kevin, if you're watching, just know you're on my list, bud.
You know what's funny about that, Erika, is that I happen to follow Kevin's girlfriend, his wonderful girlfriend, on Instagram, who is a professional pastry chef. And yes, we here at the office reap the rewards of that very often. Erika wants to get involved, given that, she lives in Tucson. They're putting on their stories pictures of cookies yesterday as they go down to Tucson. It's almost a slap in the face, Erika. I know it's Kevin's birthday, but it's almost a slap in the face to you to be like, yeah, we'll get you some cookies. Also, we're going to go down and then we're going to post cookies on the internet and say, oh, no, you can't have any of these cookies. That's for sure.
I just feel a little hurt, I texted Kevin the most heartfelt birthday message, and here I am cookieless, and it is what it is. Poop happens, then you die. But come on, man, like, give me the cookies that I'm looking for, man. Like, I, I see these purple cookies, and I need a purple cookie in my life, and I feel. And June, listen, I get it. They are busy, and I understand that, and I'm a very understanding gal. As a person with 2 jobs, I get it. But come on, man, like, if you're gonna promise something, you gotta be a man of your word, Kevin. Like, let's lock in,
Some things are a little
protect
bit
our
more
friendship.
important. No, I'm saying, like, in this circumstance, nothing trumps the importance of cookies. That's number one priority.
Correct. Like, I feel like I've suffered enough this basketball season. Bring me a dang cookie. But nonetheless, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Damon. I'm
It's an
excited
Erika
that we get
Thursday.
it is a full hour of these 2 individuals. I'll pray for the ASU fans. Hashtag pray.
Yeah, war possibly could be raged during this show. Erika and Damon, the hateful energy that we kind of, bring out of each other. Not that it's not there all the time, but I think that, it almost gets heightened. And that came to light today, Erika, when in the Diamondbacks show during the PHNX D-backs live show, you joined in and you said hashtag extend Bobby, and then you said, oh, sorry, wrong chat. I assume you then went over to the other chat and told them hashtag extend Bobby.
I've really made that other chat extremely upset with me. So I've been steering clear. I don't want to hurt the host feelings. Eric Ruby, love you. Hashtag go basketball. But I really hurt their feelings and I don't want to keep doing that. And it's not personal. I don't know if you saw my little interaction with Kyle Dodd earlier today, but like, if I tweet about ASU, just know it's not personal. In fact, I really like Kyle Dodd. I really like ASU's SID. I like Molly Miller. I like Bobby Hurley. We've all talked about how great Kenny Dillingham is for the last God knows how many years, and it's already too many. Like, I don't dislike any of these people. Like, this is not a personal thing, but to expect me to not have any hee ha little jokesters about, our in-state rival is just ridiculous. Like, I'm just here to have a good time, not for a long time. Isn't that the point of Twitter in the first place? Is just for laughs and joy. And I'm sorry, I'm a very joyous and laughter filled person. I don't think that's a crime against humanity. So I just, don't take what I say too seriously. Maybe I need to add that into my bio so they stop getting so mad at me all the time. Because also, as soon as Arizona lost yesterday, my mentions, Damon,
Oh,
my
man.
mentions.
I can't imagine.
They counted to 100 in my mentions. My notifications were just clustered with a guy counting. That's lame. Come on, guys, at least be better. Like, bring some better insults. Like, I give you guys free material every week on Erika Thursday when I come on here and talk my business. And you don't want to keep it to the business. You just want to count to 100. Come on, this is not elementary school. You're not a kindergartner. Let's level up here. Come on.
Me and you have, I think, a very similar mentality when it comes to our social media presence, Erika, of like, at the end of the day, if you were to meet Damon Fairall or Erika Day, you would probably walk away being like, oh, they were actually pretty cool, like nice person. But if you just saw our Twitter personalities and then you're an ASU fan and you feel like we're waging war against you online, it makes these people think that like we're like the scum of the earth type of people, and it's pretty funny. But I agree with you. Like, whatever happened to making jokes on the joke app? I thought that's what the whole point of Twitter was. And it feels like some people do take things a little bit too seriously. Like sometimes I have to tone it back a little bit because I can't say anything about ASU without my mentions just being the craziest thing you ever seen in your life. Obviously, Erika, and we're gonna get into this. You made some takes on this channel in regards to the Arizona women's basketball team. So I know in the ASU women's basketball team. So I know you're getting some hate for that. But at the end of the day, it's so true. It's like, this is a rivalry. We have fun with it. And it's meant to be a thing where we banter with each other back and forth. It's not meant to be some sort of like actual hateful, hate-filled type of back and forth, I guess. But we're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into the third iteration of ASU women's basketball versus Arizona women's basketball. But first, before we get into the seeding side of things, getting the 1 seed in the West region, and all of that, I did want to just ask you about your trip, because it is Erika Thursday, but we didn't have Erika Thursday last week because Erika Day was on the other side of the country. So how did you enjoy your vacation, Erika?
Dude, Athens is awesome. And I was talking to you and was that the Tech game? No. After, I don't even remember. Life is a blur. No, the Kansas game. I told you, like, I really think Athens, Georgia is just like Tucson, but with grass and trees. And it's a really fun city. It's a college town. And I told my brother, look, if I can't see a women's basketball game while I'm there, we're gonna be seeing a men's basketball game while I'm there. And it worked out so well because who else could they be playing than the Texas Longhorns, coached by none other than Sean Miller? I mean, it was a glorious time for me. I got to take my young nephew to his first ever college basketball game. I got to watch his first Olympics with him. And we watched, obviously, the secondary miracle on ice with the men's hockey team winning their first gold since 1980. It was great trip, great trip, great trip. I wish I had gone during WNBA season because Lord knows Erika would love to see an Atlanta Dream game, and that poverty arena that they have there where it holds like 2,000 people. But,
I've been.
it, I want to go so bad. I get so jealous of people who have been in that arena because it's so intimate. I think there would be nothing like watching a game there. I think it looks really fun. Maybe actually I'll save the jokes for later. I won't make that joke that I was going to make. That would make the Devil fans mad at me. But yeah, it's a great town. I definitely would want to go back. Also, there, like, no tear shade to the Big 12. And obviously, the Big 12 is the superior basketball conference. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but there is nothing like it, the SEC fandom. Like, Georgia is not a good basketball team, like by any means, by any metric. There was not an empty seat in the house. And my favorite thing about the entire thing is that they didn't stop barking the whole time. And if you watch the PHNX Mercury show, you know your girl loves to bark. And so I felt right at home. When I first walked in, I'm like, dang, they're really giving me a warm welcome. Like, who knew? And then I'm like, oh wait, dogs, 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 dogs. Who knew? But no, it was a great trip and can't wait to go back. I'll be back for 4th of July. So hopefully this WNBA CBA can be agreed upon. So then when I go, there's WNBA happening, and then I can go to this awesome arena. It would be even better if it teed up so I could go see the Mercury play the Dream. I mean, come on. WNBA gods, do me a solid, please. I'm begging. I don't ask for much, but I'm begging for this.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. Athens is actually, I agree with you, a very, very cool city. Not that people are, disparaging Athens. I think a lot of people come away being like, yeah, that was awesome. But great college town. I went 2 summers ago, and I did see Dream versus Mercury. That was part of the reason that we went on the trip. And yeah, that I got to see Brittany Griner, Sophie Cunningham, Ari on the Dream because, of course, I was with my parents. So that was kind of the reason that we did the trip, is so we could go watch Ari McDonald ball. Duh. And then we went and we walked onto the court afterwards. Speaking of you saying that it feels like you're in a Cracker Jack box arena where you can just, you're on the court. We literally, after the game was over, walked onto the court and walked straight up to Ari, and we wore like U of A stuff, and we were like, hey, look. And Ari was like super pumped to see us. But yeah, really cool experience. Hopefully it does line up for a nice Mercury game when you get out there, Erika, because that would be pretty cool. But it's time to get into some actual basketball here, as Selection Sunday, is right around the corner. We have this weekend, and then next weekend is going to be the culmination of all these conference tournaments. And so 2 Sundays from now, we will be finding out what the bracket looks like. But we have a pretty good idea of what the bracket looks like already, and that being that Arizona looks like they will be the 1 seed in the West region because, not only have the Wildcats, put on a season and, carried out a schedule that is deserving of a 1 seed, but also the other opponents that have also kind of been in that same, level of team are also not in the West. They're not Western Conference or Western Coast teams, I should say. Speaking is hard, Erika. Speaking is really hard. But yeah, so Duke, Michigan, Arizona, across every bracket that has been done according to the 2026 bracket matrix, all 3 of those schools average out, Erika, to a line of 1.00, because all 138 brackets that they have listed here have those 3 teams as 1 seeds. You would
Wow.
assume Duke was going to get the 1 seed in the East region. You would assume that Michigan will get the 1 seed in the Midwest, and that Arizona will get the 1 seed in the West, which leaves a South region 1 seed available for whatever team is left over. But it seems as though these 3 teams are set in stone. Does that surprise you whatsoever?
I mean, no, Duke has played some of the best basketball of, you know, oh my gosh, now speaking is hard for me. Their coach's career, oh my goodness, they've leveled up almost seemingly without Cooper Flag, which I feel like a lot of people thought wouldn't happen, but yet here we are. And then obviously Michigan, those fans and the fact that they think that they were number 1 for so long as they were, and then they are, and here we are. And so it doesn't surprise me at all. They've all played very, very pristine basketball. Obviously, Arizona with the toughest I think, schedule of the three. If I'm paid to have an opinion, and unfortunately I am, I think that Arizona's had a pretty tough go round, and I think they all deserve every bit of that one seed and more. I think the South region is definitely where things get a little bit interesting, and we won't know until we know, and that really feels like how that feels right now. It doesn't feel like we're going to get an answer. They're not going to rip the band-aid off. So I don't exactly know where that's going, but Duke and Michigan were definitely one seed locks. It feels like at least a month ago, similar to Arizona, unless something absolutely catastrophic happened.
Yeah, and I think at this point in the season, even if something catastrophic happened, all three of those teams will be receiving one seeds. And then you look at the fourth one seed. And this is interesting because it's probably going to be one of two teams, Erika, that Arizona has already played. So if you're looking at the projected one seeds right now, most brackets have UConn getting that fourth one seed. UConn being a team that has a really, really good record right now. I'm currently looking it up. I believe they have, 3 losses on the season, 27-3, first in the Big East. But again, it is the Big East. And I think that does, bear some noting here. The other team that seems to be fighting for that other one seed is Florida, who is playing some of the best basketball in the country, is just red hot. But Florida has 7 losses. They have over twice as many losses as UConn does. Granted, they've played a significantly harder schedule. And I'd say as of right now, it seems like they're playing better basketball. So it looks like the fourth one seed will probably go to those schools, with maybe Houston, barring a really big Big 12 tournament where maybe they get revenge on Arizona and win the Big 12 tournament. And maybe those other two schools have a little bit of lackluster conference tournaments, but it feels like it's going to be UConn or Florida that gets that fourth one seed, which then lines up for Arizona's next opponent, I guess, or not next opponent, but toughest opponent in their region would be one of UConn or Florida, Michigan State, or Illinois. And UConn and Florida being teams that Arizona already played, I think they would try to look to avoid putting those two teams in Arizona's region. Houston, being a Big 12 team, could not be a 1-2 seed in Arizona's region. So that wipes Houston off completely. And I think it kind of lines up where Michigan State and Illinois are probably more than likely to be one of the two seed in your bracket if you're Arizona. When I say that, Erika, obviously you have the Kylan Boswell factor. Is that what we're aiming for here as Arizona fans? If we can pick a 2 seed, we want Kylan Boswell and the Fighting Illini in the West?
I'll be honest. Absolutely. I think that when I think back to when Kylan was here and the conversations that were had around him versus Kylan or versus Jaden Bradley, and you just look at what Jaden Bradley has been able to do over these last 2 seasons, I would love to watch that kind of come full circle and get to watch the two of them duke it out in a big, important, fun game. I think, it gives Arizona fans even more of a, something to yell for in the stands. Not that I think they need it with this team that they have right now, but I told our friend of the show, Kobe, like 3 months ago that I wanted Illinois in our bracket. Give it to me. And so if that came to fruition, I'm not gonna lie, I would be just disgustingly happy. It would mean I'm a future seer in more ways than one. So I'm pulling for Illinois. I think it would be a fun matchup, and I just think Arizona would. I think it's tough because who who wants to play Arizona? Probably nobody. But I think Illinois would be a really fun game because Kylan would bring a little bit of an edge, as well as all the rest of their talent that they have over there. You want to fight for your point guard? What a way to do it in a game versus who he went to. I don't even know if you like say he's an alumni anymore. I don't know how that works in the transfer portal era. Like, do we call him an alum? I don't know, but you want to play your ex school. I think that's a way to have a really fun NCAA tournament. But nevertheless, I think either way, Michigan State. Then it turns into a me and Stephen Pridgeon Garner, duking it out, and I think that's even just as fun. So I would pull for Illinois, but Michigan State's cool too.
The Erika versus or Erika and Damon and Kevin triumvirate versus SPG. I think
And
that's
Matt
what.
Ishbia. Yeah.
Yes, that's what PHNX Sports needs. No question about it. But I actually, I have it on pretty good authority that Tommy Lloyd has brought personally one transfer out, a guy that was planning on leaving Arizona, down to the transfer office himself. He took the player hand in hand and said, "Let's go to the transfer office. Let's get you in the portal." I kind of lean that player was Kylan Boswell. And I'm not, that's not to say, I don't even think it was necessarily in like a Tommy Lloyd being like, I need to get rid of this guy way. I think it was more of like Tommy Lloyd being like, this situation isn't good for you, man. And you need to go find yourself a spot that, is going to be better for you and your career, maybe a place that will calm you down a little bit. Now, I don't know who that player is. I was not told specifically who that player is, but that would be my, I guess, like my lean is that's who it was. And I wonder, like you said, if that adds any fuel to the fire for a guy like Kylan Boswell, to maybe want that game on his schedule. Illinois is a team that is 5th in KenPom. So according to KenPom, they think that these out of the 2 seeds, that's probably a team that you really don't want to play. Now, they also have UConn as their 10th best team, and UConn might get a 1 seed. So I think that all of this you have to take with a little bit of a grain of salt. And UConn is a team that has been very battle tested in the last couple of tournaments. But Illinois has an elite offense, the number 1 offense in the country, and a defense that doesn't necessarily line up with that ranking from an offensive standpoint. They're 27th in defense. Arizona's top 10 in both offense and defense. I think despite that really good Illinois offense, I think that they're just not good enough defensively to hang with the Arizona Wildcats in a 40-minute basketball game. If that's the matchup that it takes to, break this Final Four drought, it also would be pretty like storybook, given that it was against Illinois, the team that you have your biggest choke job during this drought against. And there have been some choke jobs. Don't get me wrong. And I wouldn't even call the Wisconsin games choke jobs because those Wisconsin teams were so good. But there have been some choke jobs in recent Arizona tournament history. But that Illinois one in 04-05 takes the cake. I mean, you're up by a lot of points at halftime of that game. You then completely blow it to that Illinois team, and it ends the careers of like a guy like Salim Stoudemire, who was a legend. I think that would be a way that would be like absolute Karchenkov, Erika, where we get Arizona, Illinois, revenge game from 20 years ago. Time to get that Final Four monkey off your back. No?
No, I absolutely agree. And I mean, the stories write themselves regarding that game. You're right. Like that choke job, obviously, Kylan, obviously, and not to be a hater of the Big Ten, but also I just think that the Big Ten gets this like rap of being just a glorious, awesome conference. And
Yeah.
I just don't think that that is fair. So I think I would love a little Big 12, Big 10 showdown where it's like, oh, you want to see a good basketball team that knows how to play physical for 40 minutes straight? Yeah, go ahead. And then similar to the way that Kansas just tried to play Arizona. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm literally wrong. Iowa State just tried to play Arizona. Like, you want to out physical Arizona? Okay, hold my beer because you're not going to do that. So, yeah, I think it would be a fun game. And, our good friend in the chat here says that they can all shoot. I agree. But at the same time, who has a defense as deep as ours and as able to shut people down in the way that Jaden Bradley, Ivan Karchenkov, all these players are able to do. Like I think they're going to be seeing a different type of defense than what they've been seeing in the Big Ten so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a different type of athlete almost in the Big 12 versus the Big 10. And if you listen to anybody in any given year, they will tell you that the Big 10 is the like peak of basketball. I mean, it feels like it's just a constant thing that we hear, right? It feels like last year they gave that crown to the SEC. For some reason, they never give that crown to the conference that has like 4 teams in the top 10 and, consistently is winning these games on big stages. So it is a little bit shocking, but I agree with you. I think that you want Big 10 teams. I think that's what Arizona should be like when it comes to these high seeds. I think you want to be fed Big Ten teams because I don't think that they're up to the level of what Arizona is doing. And obviously, I want ACC teams too. I'm not saying that I want Big Ten teams over ACC teams, but I'm talking about when it comes to like your 2 seed. I think you want Illinois or Michigan State. I don't think you want anything to do with Florida or UConn, playing them a second time. Both those games went down to the wire, close as can be. And I don't think you want anything to do with Houston. Not that you can, because it's physically impossible for them to be in your side of the bracket. But that would be like I think we have a ton of respect for Houston and what they can do. So I don't want that either. So what does that leave? It leaves the 2 Big Ten schools that are options, and I'm looking at them and I'm licking my chops, Erika. I want one of those 2 teams in the path for Arizona to get this Final Four drought gone. Now, if we look at some of the 4 seeds perhaps that could be in the Sweet 16 matchup against Arizona, the current 4 seeds are Virginia, Alabama, who Arizona already beat, Kansas, who Arizona's already beat twice, so I don't believe Kansas would be an option to be on that side of the bracket, and then Gonzaga, which would be interesting for obvious reasons. When I name those schools, Erika, is there a Sweet 16 team that you would want to see most, maybe from a viewership standpoint, an entertainment standpoint, and then from like a standpoint of Arizona trying to just advance as far as possible?
I have to say, I absolutely do not want Gonzaga. I think that they've historically played up to their opponent's level in the NCAA tournament, and I think that it's a really hard out. Not to say that Arizona can't do it. I don't think that's the case at all. But I think that Gonzaga is very well coached, and they are oftentimes a little bit underseeded to probably what they should be, because of the conference that they're in and the opponents that they face over the course of the year. But I absolutely do not want Gonzaga. I think if I had my pick of the litter here, I would want Alabama. I think that Arizona played pretty well in that game versus Alabama, and I think it would be a nice little slobber knocking for Arizona to go through on the NCAA tournament. Like, here's a nice little game for your players to play 2 minutes less than normal. Maybe we get some Jackson Francois minutes in the NCAA tournament versus Alabama. Like, give me that. That's what I'm saying. So, and no to your Shay Jackson, happy senior day to you. Thanks for all you did for our program for the last 2 seasons. Big 12 champ himself, Jackson Francois, but that's what I'm hoping for. I would like Alabama out of the 4 that you just listed.
Interesting. Arizona beat Alabama by 21 in Birmingham when they matched up earlier this season. They were down at halftime, however, 41-39, and then Braden Burries and crew went off in the second half. I think Alabama is interesting in that I think that the game can look a lot like how it did against Arizona, the first time around this season, because they're such a perimeter shooting team that Arizona can kind of eat those teams alive at times. Like, I think Alabama actually had a lot more blocks than Arizona in that game, which was a little bit surprising, but I just think that it's a good matchup for a paint team. The thing that scares me about Alabama is that they have such a proclivity to shooting from the outside that the thing I'm most scared of from an Arizona fan standpoint is a team that takes a million threes. Because if they're just hitting on any given night, sometimes there's not really anything that you can do as an opponent to stop them. Arizona has the best 3-point defense in the Big 12 this year, and there's a lot of really good defenses in the Big 12 this year. So that matters for something, but a team like Alabama that can just get crazy hot from 3, if they're just going to start jacking them up and making them, that scares me a little bit from an Arizona standpoint. Now, I think Arizona would get the job done. We're talking about 4 seeds here. They should beat any of them. They're better than all of them. But when I look at these teams, I want Virginia. In what world, Erika, can Virginia hoops go toe-to-toe with Arizona basketball? They don't have the horses. They like playing prison ball. They like playing 55-47 ball. That's not how Arizona plays, and I don't think there's really any chance that you can get the Wildcats into that type of like scrap it out, game like that where it's just kind of nasty. I think Arizona's too good offensively for that to be the case. I think defensively, yeah, but against a team like Virginia, maybe Houston could do that to Arizona and get a W, right? Mucking it up. I don't think Virginia has any shot at that. So I'm looking at Virginia personally and saying, give me a piece of Virginia.
I like that, and especially when you have to play in the full half court versus Arizona, like, that's a very tough task to ask of any team, especially for 40 minutes straight, and if you're trying to play slow, not not ball in transition the way that, Arizona likes to do things around here, it's gonna become pretty difficult for you. In all of the games that Arizona has either fumbled or maybe, I'm thinking of the BYU game where it became close when it probably shouldn't have. Like you're thinking about those inbound passes and like you're going to have to do that versus Arizona for 40 minutes. And so I don't think it's a good matchup for them for Virginia. I think it would be excellent for Arizona though, for sure.
Yeah, I do think that's a good point though. That these teams that like to press a lot, how does that look for Arizona's standpoint? Because there have been some struggles with the inbound passes, and that usually comes late in games when the pressure gets ramped up. But if you have that pressure going from minute 1 to minute 40 because it's single elimination, do or die, that I think Arizona, that could be a wrinkle that gets thrown Arizona's way that might take a half second to figure out. I don't think that that's going to like last in terms of issues for an entire game. I think they would draw some stuff up to add a few wrinkles to counter what they're doing from a pressing standpoint. But yeah, it feels like that's definitely something to monitor as well. Now, last group of squads that we'll look at here from a potential Arizona matchup standpoint, because as a 1 seed, you will play hypothetically in the second round an 8v9 matchup. Whoever wins that game, then you will likely play the 4 seed in your region. Then you will likely play the 2 or the 3 seed on the other side. En route to a potential Final Four. Out of the 8 and 9 seeds, Erika, these are the teams that are currently considered to be at those lines. We have St. Louis in the story that is St. Louis basketball this year. They've been incredible. Kevin Thomas's squad, his other squad, he only claims them when they're good. But yeah, St. Louis, really good season out of the A10. Projected 8 seed, really interesting. You got Utah State as an 8 seed. They're going to win the Mountain West most likely. So, and even if they don't, they should make the NCAA tournament. You have Clemson, 8 seed Clemson. Revenge game. Another one, Erika. And then you have your Georgia Bulldogs as the last projected 8 seed here. Then on the 9 line, Iowa, UCF, who Arizona's already played and likely wouldn't be their opponent. North Carolina State, who just got dog walked by Duke this week. And then another old friend in Sean Miller and the Texas Longhorns, rounding that out. When I name those matchups, any matchup that sticks out to you, Erika?
I'm gonna say, give me Texas. Give me them Longhorns. Again, I saw them play in person. They are not good at basketball. And I'm sorry, all the tea, all the shade. Well, that was prison ball. That was not. They were just beating each other up out there. I'm like, what are we doing? This is not good. And it's a year of transition down in Texas. I think it's like really obviously you're playing for your coach, whatever, and you're like, I want to prove to everybody that he isn't as bad as our record says, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. No, they are not good. I genuinely think that if Arizona played Texas, it would be a genuine dog walk. Even when I was watching them play, turnovers, turnovers, turnovers. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then to see Sean Miller get on his press conference the other day and be like, I'm coaching the best point guard in all time. Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh yeah, the one I just watched turn the ball over like 8 times and a half. Yeah, that guy. Okay, whatever. You
He
know,
thinks he
uh,
said Jordan Pope is the best point guard of all time.
I think he said that he's ever coached in college. I don't want to misquote our boy Sean here, but yeah, I could look for it real quick. I got them Twitter fingers, but I just genuinely,
I'm
Sean,
looking at the screen like a dog looks at something that is confused by, Erika. Unbelievable. I'm sorry, did TJ McConnell play badminton?
well, and that's I think the funniest part of that all, yeah,
TJ
there
McConnell played
no.
was doing the luge in the Winter Olympics instead of playing basketball, and we just had it wrong this whole time. I'm
Yeah, obviously
confused.
he was honestly a swimmer at this point. Yeah. But he did say that. I'll have to send you the video for your later usage because I'm shocked you didn't see this, to be
Roberto says
honest.
he was talking about Darius Acuff, which would
Oh
make a
yeah,
little bit
it
more
was Darius
sense.
Acuff. It was in fact Darius Acuff. I
Okay.
apologize for my misquote there. I was wrong in who I said it about. I was not wrong in the sentence that Mr. Sean said, which is actually probably why I can't find this. Hold on.
I mean, that makes a
And
little bit more sense. Obviously, Darius Acuff and TJ McConnell are extremely different players. One is like the offensive engine of your entire squad, and the other one is like your quintessential, game manager type of point guard. But yeah,
to quote him correctly, in my time of 34 years, I've never seen a point guard better. He's a generational player. This number one pick thing, I don't know why people aren't talking about him more. I can't imagine anyone better. End
wow,
quote.
wow, that's pretty high praise for Darius Acuff. Man,
Definitely
all
is.
right. Well, you know what? Like, I do think that it would be unfair to say that TJ McConnell was better than Darius Acuff, so I'll hear him out on that. But there were also some pretty good point guards that Sean Miller played against in the Pac-12. Like, remember Lonzo Ball? Remember how good Lonzo Ball was at UCLA? Dude was nasty. How about Kemba Walker? Sean Miller played against Kemba Walker in 2011. He was pretty good. Like it's high praise, but that's a little crazy. But it makes more sense that it's about Darius Acuff and not Jordan Pope. But yeah, I mean that
Yeah, I
Texas
want
game,
Texas.
Texas
Who do
would
you
be
want?
box office. Just given the kind of the history there. That being said, I've watched a good amount of Texas as well. They lost to ASU, Erika. I lost a lot of money on that game. In fact, you know what? Like, I got a bone to pick. I've lost so much money on ASU basketball this year. It's actually kind of unreal. And it doesn't make any sense from a team that sucks. They suck. And every time I fade them, they burn my money alive. And I really don't understand it. But I think the only way that you can move on from this is extending Bobby, because what a season it's been. Getting back to actual serious basketball discussion, Texas is a team that lost to ASU. I don't think that I've watched enough of them to know that they're not good enough to hang with Arizona. They don't have the bigs in particular. They have that one dude who kind of looks like Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder, but he's not very good. Yeah, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I'm looking at another team though, Erika, that I didn't even know was in this range, and I'm sitting here and I'm going, now I kind of want them. UCLA is projected a 10 seed.
Give me that. Wow, that what a tough decision to make. If we just have our ideal world here. Do you want Mick in UCLA or do you want Sean in Texas? I mean, that's tough.
I mean, granted, UCLA, that game was pretty close this year. It was in Los Angeles, so they were like the home team essentially. But that's crazy. 10 seed UCLA. Wild.
Yeah. Also, our good friend 3DMK in the chat says UCLA in California though. And is he wrong? Not sure about I want that, but
That's
I,
fair. That's a
I
fair
think either
point.
way, you're talking really fun basketball games either way though.
Yeah. I guess the UCLA perspective is less of like, I think that would be a good matchup because you don't really want an 8 or 9 seed to be your biggest rival. That and usually it's impossible for that to happen because you play in your biggest rival's conference. But now with conference realignment, like it's entirely possible. I think that you kind of set yourself up for a drop off game where like UCLA is going to play like it's the Super Bowl, and understandably so. I mean, they rushed the court versus Illinois. You think that beating one seed Arizona in the second round of an NCAA tournament to keep the Final Four drought alive wouldn't be the biggest moment in modern UCLA basketball history? It's quite literally the only thing their fans care about at this point is what
Yeah.
we're doing. We don't think about them at all. John Hamm meme, but they are entirely concerned about what we have going on because they don't have much to root for in their own perspective. So I don't actually want UCLA. It just would be funny to find a way to end their season. But again, I think given that Arizona's played them before, if they somehow snuck into like a 9 seed, I don't think it would be in Arizona's region. Although it is in the West, so they would have a shot at it. But I think all in all, looking at this, like I want ACC schools and I want a 2 seed that's a Big Ten school, Erika. That's kind of where I've like that's my entire methodology of what ideally I want Arizona to be working with in the West region. I want a Big Ten 2 seed, Michigan State or Illinois, most likely. I guess Purdue if they like win the Big Ten tournament. And I want an 8 and a 9 seed that's out of the ACC, a 4 seed that's out of the ACC. Give me Virginia, give me Clemson, give me, all these teams that I just don't really have all that much. North Carolina State, and then Texas as well. I don't have respect for these squads. I think, really, when I look at this, there's just no way Arizona shouldn't make the Elite Eight. It's understandable if you don't make the Final Four because you're probably playing an elite team, but the teams that you will be playing in the Sweet 16 in the second round have no business being in a basketball game with Arizona, Erika.
Damon, this is what I love most about coming on the show with you is that you really say it how it is. Like, you don't have respect for these teams. And you know what, Damon? I respect you more for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. This has been a big, all-encompassing breakdown of the potential seeds that Arizona could find in the West region. Of course, if you're joining in a little bit later, you can go back to the beginning, and Eric and I went through our ideal 2 seeds for an Elite 8 matchup, our ideal 4 seeds for a Sweet 16 matchup, and our ideal 8-9 seeds for a potential second-round matchup. But that shouldn't be too big of a problem from an Arizona Wildcats standpoint. We are getting geared up for the NCAA tournament here. Already Big 12 regular season champions, got the Big 12 tournament on the horizon, although I think that our eyes as Arizona fans are on the greatest prize, and that's winning it all in the NCAA tournament. The Big 12 tournament can kind of take a back seat to what the ultimate goal is here, and cannot wait to cover that. We're going to do a lot more coverage on our bracketology side of things, like what our ideal path is, who we want to face once the bracket comes out, what some potential seeds could be. So be on the lookout for that on this channel. But Erika and I are going to switch topics here. We're going to start talking about some Arizona women's basketball. The season unfortunately ended yesterday by way of our biggest rivals, and they sweep us on the season. Molly Miller gets the sweep over Becky Burke. We'll be talking about all that and more. Erika kind of giving an encompassing grade of this Arizona women's basketball season. Let's get into it. On the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast, please drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and do not go anywhere. Well, let me tell you guys, we have some unbelievable sporting events on the horizon, whether it's the Big 12 tournament right around the corner, the NCAA tournament closer than you think, or the World Cup this summer. Casamigos is the only alcohol tequila that I will be celebrating with, and for good reason. You can bring your friends, your family, even your frenemies together, one Casamigos marg at a time, no matter who you're supporting. Say cheers with a Casamigos margarita. If you haven't had Casamigos yet, if you haven't had the pleasure of tasting Casamigos, it is one of the best tequilas that I have personally ever tasted. It's so available and ready to, just drink right there, then and there. You can get it at almost any store that sells alcohol because Casamigos has taken over the tequila game. Our guy, George Clooney, who's a big Arizona Wildcats fan, going to have him on the pod soon, as I announced last week, I believe. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, of course, Casamigos, our friends at Casamigos are just doing it the right way. They now have new ready-to-enjoy Casamigos margaritas made with simple ingredients, Blanco tequila, lime juice, and natural flavors. They have it in 2 separate flavors, whether it's just classic lime or maybe you want something a little bit spicy. These pre-made, ready-to-go margarita blends from Casamigos are perfect for party time. If you're having a watch party, if you're doing anything with your friends, for any of these upcoming sporting events, you got to get involved in some Casamigos tequila. Casamigos, the drink of the World Cup, whether you're at your favorite spot or stocking up for home, make it Casamigos. Now, guys, I got to do a little bit of a vibe switch here, but we got to talk about some serious things, such as the husband and wife law team. The husband and wife law team is dedicated to you. So if you've had a serious injury or a wrongful death that you want to, get some legal help for, the only place to go is the husband and wife law team. We all, hope that is something that we don't have to experience in our lifetime. The friends over at the husband and wife law team are very much on that, wave as well. But if you do unfortunately have something that happens to you or a family member, please hit them up because they are truly the best legal team that will help you with an accident or a serious injury. Because the lawyer that you hire does matter. The husband and wife law team, they are legit, real people, genuine people. They are available to take your phone calls any single time that you call them. 24/7, they will take your phone call. You want to just talk some sports? You want to talk about the Diamondbacks? Mark and Alexis Breyer, huge Diamondbacks fans, love supporting the Diamondbacks. They are one of the 1% of lawyers that are state certified as specialists in injury and wrongful death litigation. So you're going to want to have to hit them up. They are the only people to talk to when you're dealing with something this serious. And if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841. And I'm going to say it again. Write this number down, 602-783-8841, or visit their website at the link in our show notes and tell them that PHNX sent you. We're back here on the AZ Wildcats podcast, and our friend Jacob B. Cards is back in the chat as well. Of course, if you guys are unfamiliar, just tuning into the show, Jacob B. Cards was a big member of the chat, very, very prompt, was here every day to let us know that Arizona is owned by Houston, Tommy Lloyd is owned by Kelvin Sampson, and that Houston owns the Big 12. And then the second that Arizona takes down Houston and looks like they're going to win the conference, of which we did, he has been nowhere to be found. So it's good to see Jacob B. Cards back in the chat, and appreciate you, brother, tucking your tail between your legs and taking the L like only a man could, because you were definitely saying some things that the complete opposite happened. So I would assume that you came back here to apologize for them, no? Wouldn't that make the most sense?
It's crazy because the Big 12 championship regular season only doesn't matter to people that didn't win it, you know? And
Yeah.
it's very laughable to watch from a distance because last year it was, oh, we own this conference. We're the champions every season. Like, come take it, come take it, come take it. Oh, well, look, oh, Arizona took it. And now it doesn't matter anymore all of a sudden. It's kind of weird how that works out, you know?
Well, it's funny, and Kevin and I have talked about this, Erika. I don't know if you heard us say it, but like the people that were getting involved in the discussion the most, because it was an ASU versus U of A fan discussion that was happening regarding what's more important, the regular season conference title or the actual conference championship. And, of course, it was an ASU fan topic because they're trying new chair techniques that have never been seen before, Erika. I mean, these people, they will tune in appointment television to every single one of our games because they care so much about what we're doing, right? So they have to try to find ways to diminish our season or accomplishments that have happened. I get it. I probably would be doing the same thing if I were in their shoes. I'm not, because I'm an Arizona fan, so we actually have winning teams to root for and whatnot. But I do get that perspective. It's just funny that the third fan base that got the most involved in that discussion were Kansas fans. And Kansas fans, a program that has experience winning the Big 12 regular season and tournament a numerous amount of times over the last, ever, but also 2 decades, right? Like in recent history, Kansas fans were the ones that were out there saying the regular season title just means more in the Big 12 because you have to go across the entire gauntlet of the conference and come out on top, whereas the conference tournament is an avenue for a team that maybe had a down season to go out there and salvage their season. Like, I think you look at a team like Baylor and their performance against Houston yesterday, like no one wants to play Baylor in the Big 12 tournament. Baylor's season is done if they don't win the whole Big 12 tournament. They're 5-12 in conference. They have one of the worst records of any team in this conference. That being said, they were leading Houston at Houston for 70% of the game yesterday. And that's what the Big 12 tournament is, I think kind of made for, is teams like that. Not to say that you can't win it if you're the best team, because last year we saw Houston Arizona final and the best teams ended up making it there. But I do think that, like, listening to Kansas fans, a fan base that has more experience winning both of those, the tournament and the regular season as anybody, they're the people that matter the most in this discussion. If they think the regular season title is more important, then who are we to tell them that? Honestly, I mean, it's funny also coming from ASU fans, Erika. I said this the other day, given that they have 0 regular season conference titles and 0 conference tournament titles in their program's history. Your opinion doesn't matter. You've won 0, so stay over there.
I think what Damon's trying to say is shoot. And while you're here, leave a like, Jacob. Come on. If you're going to be here giving us views, you might as well leave a like while you're at it. And I don't think it takes that long. Slide down, click the little thumbs up, and boom. Then you've really done all you came here to do. So shout out to you, Jacob. I know you think it doesn't matter. Kansas lost to ASU. Is the Big 12 really that strong? The logic has left the chat. Logic has left the chat.
Did you know
Left.
that, Erika, 5 of ASU's, I believe, 7 wins that they have here in conference have come after Arizona played the team previously to them?
Oh man, 3DMK just made. Not to mention the poor guy's going to get wrecked because Kevin's not here to slow these two down. Oh man, that's tough.
That
Yeah,
is
we were
very
supposed to
true.
start talking about women's basketball after the break, and now here we are talking about Jacob and Big 12 titles. It's
Yeah.
really unfortunate. Yeah,
We're gonna get to the women's basketball talk, but yeah, 7 and 10 in conference ASU was, and 5 of those 7 wins came after playing the opponent that just played Arizona. Isn't that wild? And then the other two, Erika, the other 2 W's they got, Utah, the worst team in the conference. ASU benefited big time from playing opponents that just played the Wildcats this year and just unloaded the clip. And I think Kansas is no different in that circumstance. But great win for Bobby, Court Storm. I mean, I'm sure everybody had a good time. Erika and I, you won't find 2 people that care more about Bobby Hurley getting extended than these 2 people on this panel right here. We love Bobby Hurley. So shout out to ASU, huge win. I think it's stuff where you ultimately have to find a way to bring him back for a year 12 because you can't halt this momentum at this point in time.
Bobby 2028, man. Give him a 2-year extension. Let's call it for what it is. But
Yeah,
Odom
2-year
said he's
extension.
best coach he's ever played for. Like, give us 2 years more, Bobby. Like, what's the point of signing him to a 1-year extension? Just come on. I think it's time. Graham, if you're watching, Graham, just go ahead and sign the dotted paper. Give it to Bobby. Let's move on with our life. We don't need to be discussing any coaching carousels coming through Arizona. We can be
You
left
got to
out of this
have
conversation.
you got to have Erika, I think, at least give him multiple years because you have to allow him to recruit.
Agreed. And he's a heck of a recruiter. He pulls guys in that don't need to get paid, and if they do, they don't end up getting paid anyways. So it's like, you know, he must be a pretty good recruiter then.
Champy with an all-time comment in the chat
Yeah.
here. But Erika, we do have some women's basketball to discuss. We do also have one more ad break to get into, so I lied. We're going to talk women's basketball on the other side of this next ad break, and we're going to round out this show here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Are you looking for a place to maybe get away, go on a staycation? You want to be somewhat close to home. You can't commit to a long-term European-style vacation, but you just want to have a little bit of fun. The only place to unload is with our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Guys, they are now doing their Vegas residency from here until the end of April. So if you've been thinking and getting that Vegas itch, oh my God, I need to go gamble, I need to go see a concert, I need to go see a comedy show. Why not just do it in your backyard without all the negatives of Vegas? You don't want to experience those Vegas smells, that Vegas travel, those Vegas prices. Well, how about Vegas right in your backyard, right here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at their 4 participating locations, Wild Horse Pass, V Kiva, Lone Butte, or Santan Mountain. Guys, get involved today. They got all types of stuff going on until the end of April, like I said. Exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, chef-driven dining, pop-up bars, and surprise cameos. And you also don't want to miss out on that fabulous Corvette giveaway where they're giving away 4 Corvettes at each of their locations for now until the end of April. Visit playathila.com for more details at that. But you bring you, we bring the Vegas, only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for the full calendar of events. And of course, another company that we just love to talk about here on this podcast is our friends over at Arizona Lottery. Listen, man, I'm a gambling man. I love to gamble a little bit. I love to use a couple scratchers, and of course, the scratchers. There's nothing like having that physical ticket, scratching it off with a penny, with a quarter, and getting back a winner. I was just doing it the other day here in the office, and let me tell you, it was scenes, it was electricity that I haven't felt in quite some time. Didn't even win, still had so much fun. But of course, the winnings are available to you with over $270 million in prizes they're giving away right now. And you can win big enough to do more of the things that you love in your life, adding things that you love like vacation, like relaxation, like maybe a new truck. Who knows? The multiplier tickets over at Arizona Lottery, starting at just $1 with prizes up to $5 million, can help you achieve this status. With access to over 3,500 retailers and kiosks across the state, you can play whenever and wherever you like with our friends at Arizona Lottery. Play and win today at Arizona Lottery. We're back here on the AZ Wildcats podcast, and as promised, it's time to get into some women's basketball, and not necessarily the most positive rendition of Arizona women's basketball talk, as ASU, Molly Miller, the rivalry that was this season of Becky Burke and Molly Miller both getting year one under their belt at their new respective programs. Ends not in the way that we would have liked, Erika, as Arizona loses all three matchups, was in all three matchups, could have won all three matchups, and ultimately doesn't get the job done, with the Big 12 tournament loss against ASU being probably the season ender here. What was kind of your overarching, taking a big step back, looking at this season? What was your reaction to the 12 and 18 season, Becky Burke's year one here, Erika?
Really quickly on the three losses to ASU, Arizona State beating Arizona three times. It's like when you've been playing your younger sibling in a video game for 5 years, and suddenly they start getting to the point where they're better than you, and you're just sitting there and they're just frying you, just verbally, on the game, off the game. And you're sitting there like, whoa, 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 how did this happen? Whoa, 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 whoa. And I think that there's something to be said about coming back around. And, I think I've talked all season about how Molly Miller, not only does her team have an identity, but she went into the transfer portal and she got players that matched that identity and were willing to play to that to a T. Last Tarapoa, and we'll just start there. Like, she was never going to be the biggest offensive threat for Arizona State. That was never her role. That was never her job. That was not why Molly Miller called Last Tarapoa up on the phone and said, "Come to Arizona State." She called Sarapella up to set a defensive precedence, and that has worked for them all season. Has it worked for them against any quad one schools? No, it has not. But it has worked for them, 23 times, I guess. And we'll see if it works for them today against Iowa State. But I genuinely, and jokes aside, like, congrats to Molly Miller and the ASU Sun Devils on the great season they've had. It is just that, a great season, and I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know if they're going to get into the NCAA tournament or not. I'm sure that game yesterday definitely helped their chances, but at the same time, they're not going to go and make a big splash. They're not going to get back to the host site of Phoenix, Arizona and make a Final Four. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but this isn't going to be some tournament run for the ages. And you can bookmark this YouTube video all day long, but it's not going to be. And Arizona is set to have a much better season next year. And obviously, I've also discussed the not so positive Arizona Wildcat women's basketball fan club on the Facebook. Gotta say, my least favorite app of all the social medias. And man, is that place just, you talk about prison ball, man, that you would think that we just played the worst brand of basketball to ever grace the planet of the earth. And people talked about, oh, well, what are they going to say if Becky Burke's entire roster enters the transfer portal? Nothing. Nothing. They won three conference games. You're not going to say anything at all. If you want to win three conference games next year, I guess, sure, be mad at the roster that's inevitably probably going to end up in the transfer portal. But if you're sitting here talking to me today, there are probably three players that I can name off my dome where I'm like, yeah, I would really hate to lose that player. But outside of the three, maybe four, I'm not going to sit here and cry and be disgusted and be like, oh my gosh, I can't. They're going to go to LSU and make a huge splash on a Kim Mulkey coach team. That's just not real life. I love that so many people want to live on Mars regarding women's basketball, but that is not real life. So if you want to be three and whatever again next year, I guess, yeah, be super bitter that inevitably in the next week and a half the roster is probably going to have intent to enter the transfer portal. And gosh, do I hate that we're living in the day and age where we're talking about intent to enter the transfer portal. But nonetheless, that's where we are. So, she's got four top 100 kids coming in next year. One of them was an early enrollee in Callie Hinder. And granted, would I have loved to have seen Callie Hinder suit up for the Arizona Wildcats this year and probably make a huge difference in the second half of the season? Most certainly. But that's not, again, we're not on Mars, we're on Earth, and that's not where we live. So we have to wait till next season. I also think, and this, this is going to sound like I'm shading and all tea, all the shade, whatever. It's going to benefit Arizona that they're not going to be in the WBIT. It's going to benefit Arizona that they're not going to have to play a play-in game in the NCAA tournament. You know, I've watched Arizona Wildcats there. I watched them play in a play-in game literally last 2 years ago. And they win the play-in game, and then they get absolutely destroyed once they enter the actual tournament. And you know the way the play-in games work, you're not actually even a 16 seed. It's not a fun game to be in if you are wanting to be competitive. You do not want to play in that play-in game. So I don't. I'm not mad at where this team is at. Obviously, I would have loved to have had some different results for this season. But think of all the time that Becky Burke is going to have to be in the transfer portal recruiting. And you know, I don't know if you guys are fans of my good friend Skim Mulkey, but Skim Mulkey knows who's going to be in that transfer portal. And I'm sure Becky Burke's got a hot line to Skim, being like, all right, who do I got to be on the lookout for? And when she inevitably pulls in some ridiculous player out of, you know, I don't know, Princeton, and you're like, what is this? You know, let Becky cook. Let Becky cook, because I think there's some real time here. And these next 2, 3, 4 weeks where everyone else is worried about playing game or playing in their tournament game or playing in WBIT, I think that that's really beneficial hours for Becky Burke to either be scouting those exact teams so she can know who she's trying to hunt for in the portal, but also in what she needs to do to be in that position next season. And so, you know, this is her first Power Four job, and obviously this is Molly's first Power Four job. But Molly's transition was much different. Molly moved down the street, literally. She was at GCU, moved down the street. Now she's in ASU. Cool, 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 cool. They had great players at GCU. They made a tournament run at GCU. It's not like Becky Burke was coming off of a NCAA tournament berth at Buffalo. That's again not real life. You are talking about a player or a team that just won the NIT. That is a different level. And you know, I talked about this the last time I was on the show. I think 3 weeks ago now, but none of these players. I shouldn't say none because that would be factually incorrect. Because at least Cameron Kitchen was you know, she was at Virginia, Power Four school, but none of these players expected to be in the Big 12 when they were going to sign to play college basketball. Most of them were already wanting to play for Becky Burke, and Becky Burke was at Buffalo. So now she's here. She's in playing top notch talent. And let's talk about the parity in the Big 12. Like, okay, beating BYU isn't for everyone. You guys didn't like that joke very much if you're an ASU fan, but like that just goes to show you how much
I
parity there
loved it.
really is in the Big 12. And so, you know, Arizona beats BYU. I think it was their second or third Big 12 game of the season. Boom. And then BYU is beating ASU later in the season. BYU's had some good wins. I just, you know, this is a very tough league for this to be your first go around. And, you know, Becky has talked about the fact that it is going to be a long haul process. She's going to build the right way. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter actually when I was talking about this earlier today. I had a tweet that I put out about this exact thing, like give Becky some time to put the bricks in the ground. And a lot of like people don't believe that you can win with not young players anymore. And I would like to checkmate you with the Arizona Wildcats men's basketball team of the 2026 season. Like I obviously Jaden Bradley is older, obviously Tobe Awaka older, but you're looking at Koa Pete, you're looking at Braden Burries, you're looking at Dwayne Aristo. Like you're talking about three freshmen that have come in and played real impact minutes, off rip, off like not even impact minutes. Like they are the impact minutes. I think back to that game against Florida and the precedents that Koa Pete set about what type of team this is going to be. And if you think a young player cannot do that, checkmate Arizona Wildcats. So I think, you know, Becky has watched Tommy all season long. She's talked about what kind of pressure it is to play or to coach alongside Tommy,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, this is a basketball town. She knew what type of job she was signing up for. She knew that there were expectations. She recognizes, hey, not only are there expectations, they were in the national championship 5 years ago. They know what success feels like and they want to get back to that. So if you think for 1 second that Becky Burke isn't going to be in the transfer portal looking at what options are available to her and how she can build a very good, very competitive team off rip, you are again just on Mars. And I think it's fine if you come back down on the spaceship and come back down and live on Earth with the rest of us. It, we're looking at a years long, very fun rivalry that's building in Arizona. And I'll be honest. This was the first time since the 2017-18 season. I don't want to lie. Yep, 17-18 season that Arizona State has beat Arizona 3 times in a season. Like, this is not like the regular. This isn't the norm. And, I have had multiple people being like, this is unacceptable. And I look at them and I say, the state of Arizona has had immense success in basketball over the last 12 months. You look at the Phoenix Mercury going into WNBA finals, and now you look at what Tommy Lloyd's doing with this Arizona basketball program. You can't win them all, guys. Like, you can't have the river is not always going to be bright blue. Eventually, some blood has to trickle in because that would just be selfish. So I just think, you have to give her some time to cook. She's learning from Tommy. She's learning from Molly Miller. Like, you have to be lying to yourself if you think Becky isn't looking at what Molly did this season and taking some notes out of her page. 3DMK, yes, Pima, men's and women's has been ridiculous this year. So I think it's a snub to the possibilities that could be. We won't even use a men's team. Look at UConn with Sarah Strong. And am I saying that Sarah Strong caliber player is going to be coming to Arizona? No, no, I'm not. But let's not lie about impact from young players being possible. Like, that is totally within the realm of possibility. Callie Hinder has been in the locker room for the last, well, March, so 4 months now. She's gotten to watch Becky Burke. She got to be practice with Becky Burke. If you think Callie Hinder isn't going to be a huge part of what Becky's trying to do next season, I want what you have, man. I would love to be delusional, but I'm just not. I live on Earth, and I think this is a fun budding rivalry. And Becky Burke, first season, yeah, it was a disappointment. Molly Miller, first season, woo. W's in the chat. I'm so happy for you guys. I'm glad there is at least one relevant women's basketball program. You guys see her in the cone? It's adorable, right? It's pretty sad.
I'm petting him.
Uh, but I'm glad that there's at least one relevant, good women's basketball program in the state right now because there needs to be at all times. I don't like this West Coast bias being against Arizona schools, coach schools. I want Molly Miller and the Arizona State Sun Devils to go to the tournament. I think that would be great for the state. I think it would be great for the rivalry, especially with the fact that Becky Burke knew that yesterday was her opportunity to literally kick Molly Miller and the Arizona State Sun Devils out of the NCAA tournament and couldn't get it done. That stinks. It's poopy butthole. Like, let's not lie. But if you think that's not like bookmarked in her brain, bookmarked on Twitter, I feel like of all the people that bookmark my tweets to come back and say, ha ha ha, you were wrong, I think Becky Burke bookmarks all my tweets so that she can come back next year and say, look, Erika knows what she's talking about. This is what she was saying, that I just needed some time to lay bricks. And now the bricks are laid. We have a foundation. And now we're competing in this, very tough conference that the Arizona plays in. Sorry for the long rant there, but I've been waiting for 2 weeks. I haven't gotten to talk. And I'm pretty sure the last time I talked, Damon wasn't even on the show. So it's been budding.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Erika, you said a lot of things that I want to ask a little bit more about. Starting off with, who are these 3 to 4 players that you think are key to bringing back next season?
I'm going to start off with Samaya Sugapong. I talked about her in the offseason. I talked about her early in the season, how she did not play to the level I thought she was going to play in. But once she found some comfortability in Becky Burke's system, she was kind of unstoppable. She's fun to watch. Obviously, the one downfall of Samaya this season has been the technical foul situation. I I need the Big 12 to do something about this officiating situation because I could point to 3, 4 different moments in yesterday's game versus Sun Devils and be like, that's nonsense. That's just not real. But whatever, I guess it is real if you live where they live. Man, that's the saddest thing I've ever seen. I gotta get her off the screen. She looks so sad back there.
She wants
But
some airtime.
and I can't say I blame her, but I look like I abuse her with the cone on her like that. I mean, dang.
We're getting her
It's
right.
it's true. I am. Very expensive vet bills and a lot of dog baths. But
For sure.
nonetheless, yeah. I don't remember the question you asked me, and so I do
The three
apologize
to
for
four
that,
players
Damon.
that you said
Oh
that
yeah,
you would
Samaya
highlight
Sugapong,
bringing back.
Blessing out of Banjo, um, Cameron Kitchen, and Molly Ladwig. I think would be the four that I off my brain right now, I would love to see back in an Arizona Wildcat uniform. I think a troll, unfortunately, while could have solved our size problem, I think when you look at like the growth that she had over the course of the year, it wasn't enough to solidify a spot in a rotation for a Becky Burke coach team that has to be very solid defensively. So I think that there are quite a few different players that will enter the portal. I don't know that all the four I just said will stay. This is not a breaking news podcast today. Maybe next week when I come back, I will be, but today is not that day. I but I do hope those four decide to stick around, especially Samaya. I think, with Mickey Purdue going down in the way she did in January, like Samaya really, really, really had to step up. And similar to the way like Delhi did when his name was called and he was having a tough season and he answered the call no matter what, Samaya did the same thing. And while it didn't necessarily result in the victories you might have hoped for, you know, she played promising basketball.
Yeah, I agree. She definitely had to step up and become a lot more of a shot creator than she was previously. So, yeah, I think Shugapong would be definitely a big time piece to bring back here for year two. Kind of, have a little bit of leadership and stability. I think in the locker room would be helpful because yeah, there is going to be a big influx and outflux of transfers here on this roster, and rightfully so because going into this season this was one of the lesser talented teams in the Big 12. And the Big 12 is a really good women's basketball conference. But, I think it was always going to be a little bit of a down year one. What you were looking for out of Becky Burke was a team that played with a lot of heart, a team that played, really hard, a team that played good defense. And they did kind of check a lot of these boxes, Erika, where, it feels like the foundation of a program is there. You might have the coach. I won't even go out and say that you do have the coach because I think it's a mystery as of now, but I think that there's hope. Now you need to go out there and get the players. And I think Becky is, like, when you're looking at the profile of coach that Becky Burke is, being a recruiter is going to be so massive for her. And I do think that she will connect with players at a really high level. And we've seen that already. You mentioned the 4 top 100 recruits. Like, this is not a coach that has a ton of accolades and the biggest resume under her belt, but she's getting these recruits to commit to her and this program that didn't have a good year because that's the level of recruiter that she is. So I think there's a lot of hope to be had about this women's basketball program, despite the really lackluster 3-15 conference season, because this is how you wanted it to play out if it looked like this. You lose a ton of close games. You go away from it thinking, man, if the players were just a little bit better, and now you can recruit and go all into next season. So, yeah, it was a down year. It was disappointing to get swept by ASU like that, especially when you really could have won a lot of these games and you didn't. But I don't think that there's any reason to feel discouraged about the future of a Becky Burke program. I think that the sky is blue and the lights are very bright for this program moving forward. And so yeah, I mean I know I'm not discouraged by it. I kind of expected this in a little bit this season. Maybe I thought the team would be a little bit better, but again, they could have been here or there. 3-point, 2-point losses all over the place. So yeah, I'm excited for the Becky Burke era, and yeah, Molly might have gotten a leg up in year one, but I don't expect that to be commonplace. I don't expect that to become habit. I expect this back and forth to be an incredible rivalry, and I feel that Molly Miller would probably tell you the exact same thing. That this is not going to look like a sweep year in year out. They probably want that. Obviously, that's the goal, but it feels like that this is the makings of like the hatching of a program that could get to be very good again. We're just not there yet. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, let's caution people on being like, it's over, this is unacceptable. It is unacceptable, but Becky knows it's unacceptable, and she's gonna work tirelessly to fixing that this next season.
Well, and I do want to admit, like yesterday was probably the most frustrated I've felt watching this team because it was the same outcome as we've seen in the other two matchups versus ASU. But at the exact same time, I hats off to both of those coaches because it's really hard to win versus the same team 3 times, but it's also just hard to play against your rival for the third time and know for a fact that it's, going to be an uphill battle. You've got to get your players locked in on a just different level. And what if I love to see them end ASU season yesterday and send them to the WBIT tournament? Most certainly I would have. But, I you can't have everything that you want. And that's what I just point to. Just wait for April when Jacob comes back into our when Jacob comes back into our chat and he's talking about how crazy it is that, I was wrong because you guys won something crazy. I just remember this. You can't win them all, guys. And one year it will come back and we will win again in women's basketball. And can I just say though, I do think it's really funny that in only one of the major sports is it really like a true rivalry. You play them close, in one of the true sports, like big sports. In
Football,
men's
right?
basketball, it's no. In women's basketball, we're not even.
Oh,
Kenny's 1-2 versus Arizona in territorial cups. Is that? I don't think.
absolutely. Yeah, Kenny losing record. We all know that. 0 bowl wins.
And also, I just think back to last year's territorial cup game wasn't close. This year wasn't super close. Like, it's just
You're
like
right.
one
We own them
team
in football.
beating the crap out of each other, and it doesn't, it's one or the other. And I don't think it's like but this rivalry, I'm telling you, by the 100+ notifications I got yesterday between Molly Miller and Becky Burke, man, inject that in my veins. It's electric. I love it, guys. Bring it, bring more. When you beat Iowa State later today, I expect the same treatment. I expect the same treatment about 6:30 p.m. When I think an ASU fan told me yesterday that they wanted to make Audie Crooks wish she played softball, and I can't wait for you to report back. I can't wait.
Audi Crooks playing softball is a scary thought. Like I mean, talk about a home run hitter.
It could have been special, really special, and especially now that there's the pro softball league with athletes unlimited, and there's just so many options. Maybe she could still change. I don't know. Maybe Iowa State should call her about that. Make her a dual sport athlete like the Gabrielle Hawkes girl at UCLA. She played softball and basketball. Why can't there be
Yeah,
another one of them?
absolutely. All right, so Erika, I think one thing that must be talked about as we and I'm going to set you up, and this is going to sound like I'm trying to roast you, but I'm trying to set you up for maybe extending this challenge out. You told us that Arizona women's basketball was going to be better than ASU women's basketball this year
I
before the
sure did.
season. You said Becky's going to get the best of Molly. Now, are we going to be better next year? Tell me we're going to be better next year, Erika.
I think there's no reason to believe that we won't be better next year. I think that
Yes.
and I hope that people bookmark this because I wish that people would go back to that video, flip it, and tweet that to me instead of just counting to 100 in my mentions. That would be way more interesting. Like,
Yeah, clip it, like send it to me, blow it up on social media. Let's have fun with it, but come on, let's not just be annoying for the sake of being annoying.
you could make me look like a real silly goose, like, but instead, here you are, silly goosing it up yourself. So I think it's going to be better. I think, oh man, David Veenstra with his softball comment. Oh gosh, you guys are really funny in the chat today, especially, the Houston fan. You guys have really brought the humor today. It's been hard to keep a straight face.
Jacob's
Um,
not even a Houston fan, man. He just hates Arizona.
I have to laugh at the Arizona stole Caleb Love's swag. Like, are we are we serious? Like, again, that's why I said Mars resident number one is Jacob. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That dude was the test subject when they were deciding who to send to Mars. He was the first one. So I wish that they would have. I wish that I had something to say back to that. But like I think back and you're like the greatest shot of Caleb Love's career came here at Arizona. Like,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
Caleb Love has more swag than almost any player that you will come across. I know we're talking swag in the Big 26, like Max said, but like Braden Burries has a shirt that says Cali swag on it. We got the brand new Cactus Core. We got the old throwback 90s era uniforms. I'm like, I know this guy. I know Jacob's trolling, so at the end of the day, we're indulging him and he's winning here. But this program has some of the most swag of any basketball programs in the country, I'd argue.
You don't know any other college program that has their coach DJing at college game day. I'm sorry. Let me just. Do you guys have DJ Tommy? Because we got DJ Tommy, and last I checked, I didn't see Kelvin Sampson throwing it on the. You know, so if you can get Kelvin Sampson behind the on
Grandpa
some bangers,
Sampson could never.
right? Ever. So yeah, whatever, man. Show me them rings, man. Okay, we'll see you in a month or so, Jacob. I can't wait to see you back in the chat when I'm not on the pod and I can really keyboard warrior it up with you. It's going to be a really fun time. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really fun next month or so with the tournament coming up, even just the Big 12 tournament. Really quick, Damon. I know we've already gone. Like Damon told me it was going to be a short show today, and then boom, and then we just
It is what it
give
is.
it
We're
nap.
yapping. We're yapping.
Can I ask you really quick, like, how mad are you if the Arizona Wildcats like lose their first game in the Big 12 tournament? Like, how mad are you?
First game would be against a team that really has no business beating Arizona. So I think if it was the first game, Erika, I would be pretty discouraged because it would make me think that we're opening ourselves up to getting upset in the NCAA tournament. If it's the second game and you're playing like a top 4 seed and it's like Iowa State or something that beats you, I'm not going to be that discouraged by it. But if it's like if you do play a team like a Baylor or whatever and they end up getting the W, TCU, like a team that just is clearly not as good as Arizona, that would make me raise my eyebrows a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just looking at through the games really quick. I would not want either of those losses in game one for Arizona, but I think you're right about game two. I don't think they necessarily have to make it all the way to the championship to make me feel satiated in the go round, but I think it would be nice to maybe meet our good friend Jacob back in the championship game for, old time's sake.
Yeah, Jacob, who said that Houston was going to beat Arizona for months leading up to the fact and was nowhere to be found on the Houston postgame show. I'm sure, Erika, he will be back apologizing with his, on his knees begging for forgiveness when Arizona is cutting down nets when it's all said and done. But of course, this has been another AZ Wildcats podcast. We went through our ideal seeds that Arizona could meet up against in the West region. So the first 40 minutes of the show, if you want some bracketology, go back and listen to that. And then Erika and I get into Arizona women's basketball versus ASU, the season of 2025-26. Disappointing season at that, but the future is very bright for a Becky Burke-led program, and I think that Erika and I both still feel pretty good about the direction that the program has in general going into next season. And you heard it here first. We're going to be better than Molly Miller and ASU next season. So write this down, March 5th, 3:24 p.m. on the AZ Wildcats podcast. And we're going to keep predicting that until both coaches are no longer at both programs, because I think that's just what we do now, is we say that we're going to be better than them. But I love it, Erika. Go ahead.
No, we're paid to have opinions after all. And frankly, it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. Like, again, no one's gone back and clipped my wrong opinion. The only person that even remembered it was you and Kevin. So, not to say you guys don't matter, but I mean, come on, guys. Like, we got to have these opinions. That's, our job. So, I'm excited to be wrong if that's the case. And I'm excited to be right inevitably one year.
You are going to be right this time around. I feel very confident in that, Erika. And we'll be back with a vengeance next year. Erika will be back on another Erika Thursday moving forward, as she is back from vacation, so we can get back into our regular routine of Erika Thursdays. Of course, follow Erika at Erika Lee Day on Twitter. There's no H in that, and Erika is spelled with a K, so I'll let you guys kind of figure that out. But I am at Damon Dog. That's CAWG at the end of that guy. PHNX_Wildcats is where you can find our main account, and then, of course, all roads lead back to PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Appreciate everybody for watching this podcast. It's been a little bit of a long one. Erika and I went long because we got to yap. We got to take shots at people. We got to do what Damon and Erika do when the meeting of the minds happens here on this podcast. Kevin Thomas will be back tomorrow on a Friday after celebrating his birthday, and a Jaden Bradley interview that is on this channel later tonight. McHale Madness at 7 p.m. The closer, the senior, the leader of this team, Jaden Bradley, at 7 p.m. doing an interview with Colin Sorey. Saul and Corey, and then, of course, Kevin will be producing it as well. But appreciate everybody for watching this episode. Throw us all a follow. Follow my guy Kevin at Kevo Posts for his B-Day as he embarks upon 2,000 followers here, and I know that's big for my guy. And thank you so much to everybody watching, even you, Jacob, but behave yourself. And thank you so much, guys. Appreciate everybody. Peace out, bear down, and Erika.
Go Cats!
We all silly like the mayor.